Let's go.
Yo, what up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901, coming live after that ugliness that was the Grizzlies losing to the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to go with a 119-106 for the Nets. It was ugly. I know I've briefly talked to Nate about it before we got on the show for maybe 30 seconds. So honestly, I don't know how he feels about this. But Nate will be joining us very shortly. But do us a favor. If you're joining us, as you always do after the Grizzlies games, go ahead and hit the like button there in the chat for YouTube. And if you would, go ahead. And if you're on Twitter, join us over on YouTube. We'd love to have you over there. The chat is obviously not, is flowing right now as it always is. Our chat is the best by far. But the game tonight was ugly. It was disgusting, honestly. And it was a game that is something you probably learn from the most. I don't think this is a game that you kind of just throw away. I think this is a game that you have to look at. And the Grizzlies having two more injuries. Smart goes down with an ankle. And then we have Bane go down with an oblique injury. So the Grizzlies are struggling right now. There's a lot of questions surrounding this team, but we're going to break that all down in the first segment. Then we're going to hit on a little Grizz trivia midway through, and then we're going to sum it up with a look around and the look ahead. But let's go ahead and get in with Nate. Yo, Nate, what up, man? What up?
I got to go to bed soon, so let's knock this out. I got an early flight. Apparently, the Grizzlies do too from that game.
Well, unfortunately, they better not fly anywhere because they are playing tomorrow night. Which
they didn't know that. Somebody should have told them that so that they would have played tonight.
They weren't aware. I get it. Listen, that's on us. I apologize. We didn't make them aware. We'll own that. We'll own that game. We'll let them know. Maybe we can tweet directly at them next time, and maybe they'll get it. But the Grizzlies do go down on, and it was a game that was disgusting. I know a lot of people already talking about the coaching, which has obviously been a big thing, and we'll get into all of that. But there's been so much going on with that game. Zaire Williams, listen. I know Zaire is a great dude in general. He's never looked like that, but honestly, I think anybody right now would shoot well against the Grizzlies. We might be all right against the Grizzlies right now because they leave us wide open. But give me your thoughts just coming off top rope.
Yo, these dudes lame.
Yeah.
Just lame. Nobody, they just came out and thought they're going to win because they got there. I don't even know what to tell you. Dude, I think they still think it's 2021, 22 or something. We'll get to everything individually on an individual basis, but it just looked like a team who thought they were going to win just by showing up. And then, I don't even know. It was terrible.
I agree. It was a game that
is bad.
It's just, and
the Grizz
it didn't show up. It looked like there's no mojo to this game, and that's the worrisome thing. And I know it's game 5. I don't freak out about the energy as much because you're going to have it some nights you don't. But the fact is we're not the young team anymore. We used to be the young team. We still have young guys, but a lot of our guys have been in the league for a little while. And if they want to talk big, they're going to have to back it up, whether lineups or no lineups. And I know injuries or no injuries. Whoever's on the court, and honestly, Ja tried to get a little bit with, getting the back of, was it Scottie Pippen? And he which I loved. Listen, Ja made a point to go after Keon Johnson, I believe his name is. He went after him because he knew if he got double check, no big deal. Keon Johnson gets thrown out. I love that part of it. I don't know if you saw that or loved it as well.
I did. It was awesome. But that's what happened. Ja decided he wanted to win for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And look what happened. They got right back in it. But nobody came with them other than Jaren. Jaren was awesome all night. Jaren played great all night long. But that's it. No matter what Goon wants to say, Jaren was the only guy who shut up.
Jaren was great tonight.
He was great.
Let's all right, and let me start off the show by simply saying normally we're very positive and we're gonna be honest. I think that's That's a fair way to say it. But we're also going to make sure it is an honest, but it is a fair show, but also a positive show. So we're going to be negative in a lot of ways. I think last game was it was literally, it pissed me off just the way the game looked. It was just frustrating. Tonight, I don't feel that way as much. I hated it, but I don't feel that way. We'll have a positive spin a little bit, and we'll talk through a lot of the chat. So, by all means, if you have questions, if you have things you want to talk about, let's do that, because I'd love to get through a lot of the questions, because I know me and you want to hit on a lot of the different players and a lot of different topics. So I'll let you kind of lead the way, and we'll kind of go that direction.
I was going to say, I have a positive.
All right, let's go.
Jaren and Ja were both closer to 30 minutes than they were the other night.
100%. Let's start there. Let's go straight to the minutes.
To be clear, neither one of them cleared 30 minutes again, which is asinine.
Yeah. Let's go through the minutes real quick. All right. So obviously, the Nets had 3 stars that played 33 plus minutes, and the other
35
2
for Johnson, 34
28, 25.
Yeah.
But let's go to the Grizzly stuff, because I don't want to spend too much time on the other team. I don't think we have enough time on the show to spend any time on the other team. They played well. They shot well. We knew it. I bet on every single guy to make threes. I had a great night personally. But I will say, if you look at this, Ja Morant and Jaren playing 29 and 28 minutes respectively. Why not 32 to 34?
Is that a serious question?
I'm serious. Like, why can't we?
Yeah, dude. No. Minutes restriction for the hamstring is clearly hobbling Jaren. So we don't play basketball. We analyze and we analyze and we try and play chess moves. And sometimes when you're trying to play chess, you got to remember you're playing freaking checkers, and you just go out and play the game.
Yeah.
Like, quit trying to play checkers, go play basketball.
Yeah.
Dude, these guys they're not the young team anymore, but they're not old.
No.
And you can tell it's the way they're thinking on the court. They're trying to get into this groove. They're trying to play. Dude, sometimes you just gotta go out and play basketball and be good at basketball. And
I agree.
Dude, it's just lame.
So all right, so so my thing is, instead of just saying it's terrible, it sucks, fire everybody, I don't do that. I know you don't either. I want to figure out I want to figure out why. Like, what is the reasoning? What's their thinking? Like, let's think through. I want to figure out what's the reason that they do it, other than just they're idiots and they should be fired. Like, what's the reason that they're doing it? One, and then let's diagnose what in the world it is, because it doesn't make sense. I'm on record, and I think it's understood that I am critical of the 12-man, 11-man lineups. I've never liked the 10-man lineups. I like a 9. I think 9 flows better into rotations. I coach basketball enough. I know that the 8 and 9s is what I like the most, and that's where you get to a playoff basketball. But 10 is fine. I'm okay there. But tonight, do you think that we went so deep in 12 because of Smart and Bane getting hurt?
Well, I mean, eventually you had to, but they were at 12 before that happened.
Well, they weren't at 12 until
11. Sorry.
They were at 11. Correct. They were at 11 until Smart got hurt, and then because Conchar didn't play until Smart got hurt. And at that point, Conchar came in the game and played.
Well, the other part of it tonight was everyone sucked.
Right.
I mean, tonight's one of those nights where if it hadn't been such an issue, I would completely understand going with 12. Because it's okay, I'm going to keep putting guys in there until somebody actually gives me minutes that look like they're worth anything.
Correct.
Everybody sucked tonight. The only 2 guys who genuinely I thought looked great tonight were Jaren, and this is an actual positive. This isn't sarcasm. I thought BC looked the best he's looked by a long shot tonight.
Yeah.
I thought BC looked good tonight. Other than that, it's everybody. Aldama was trash. Wells was not very good tonight. Yeah. Huff kept getting burned again. Jitty was not good. Pippen was not good. I mean, Jake, who ended up having an awful night, actually didn't look terrible. He's one of the few dudes who didn't look terrible through the first part of that first half. He's one of the few dudes okay, he's actually doing some things tonight. He's in a good place. He's defending well. He's getting rebounds. Now, then he started being terrible too. Yeah. Everybody looked awful.
Right.
And then when everybody just was lame tonight. There was just nobody had any juice tonight, which is pretty unacceptable coming off the night you just came off of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
2, I will say, if you're looking for legitimate reason before I get back into just being pissy, which I plan to go back there, they're trying to figure out a bunch of guys, which is a product of like your guys aren't here.
Yeah.
Your guys are like not having Luke, not having Gigi, not having Vince. Like because of that, you're having to play Jake and Wells and Huff and Pippen all these minutes. And all these guys are playing more than they should be because of that.
Yeah.
And part of it is they're trying to figure that stuff out. So it's a mess. They look like they're trying to figure it out. And again, sometimes it's just like put your players on the floor and go play basketball. Because if you I know they got hurt tonight, but Ja and Bane and Jaren and BC on the floor together, throw in whoever else. Like that team knows how to play together.
Correct. And I think that's where we're at. And I want to say this because I've said this many a times. D'Angelo Quinn saying this is, rotations suck. Like they are. Like I don't think anybody likes the rotations. And I've broken them down, minute by minute, or I guess second by second of who's coming in for who. And I try to make the charts. I started I think 2 games ago. But you can't get any momentum. And it's on both ends of the court. And you can't get like an understanding of your fellow player, we'll say, because if I'm playing with, just let's use this for example. If me and you are doing the show on a consistent basis and then we bring in somebody else that we're not used to, the flow isn't there as much, right? And then you bring in somebody else that you've done a few shows with, like Thursday. We have Ryan come on the show. Me and Ryan's flow is not as good as mine and your flow. And I've known Ryan much longer than you personally in life. But the flow won't be there. And that's what I wish they would get back to the 10-man and stick with it. And honestly, if you want to switch it up, because I do want to hit on Edie a little bit later, because I have thoughts on Edie. So there's so much. I don't want to just kind of spray the board real quick with all of our thoughts, but I want to get to the rotation and stuff real quick. I don't get why the rotations look the way they do. I don't know why. The only thing is the pace of play, okay? The pace of play,
which isn't working.
I said this in our group chat. If your pace of play doesn't allow your 3 best players to be on the court more together, or your starters, your 5 best players to be on the court together more, then the pace of play, offense, whatever it is, isn't working. This new offense, I've said it. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good offense. I think it's just a pace of play offense. They get the ball up the court, which I've loved, and they get it up the court faster. But man, Brooklyn did not let them get anything in transition and just muddied the half court basketball. And at that point, there was no flow of offense.
Well, dude, you're running with Jake LaRavia and Zach Edey.
That's true.
Like, part of it is personnel. So let's, we're gonna get into it later on this, but let's be fair. Personnel is a problem for this team right now.
True.
Like if you, instead of running the floor, if you take Jake and even like Wells, who I think is going to end up being a good player for this team, if you take those 2 off the floor and place it with Vince /GG /Luke Kennard, looks a lot different and a lot better. Because when you dish it out to those guys, they have space. Somebody has to get to those guys. And if you don't, then they punish you.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. So personnel does matter.
Right.
That it's as much as the system isn't working right now, putting those guys on the court instead could change that. That being said, it's the same thing. Like you got to be able to play these guys minutes.
Right.
You got to be able to get these guys to 30, 35 minutes. You got to have a half court offense. If you don't have a half court offense, even if you kill the regular season, you're going to be completely tanked when you get to the postseason. So they got a lot to figure out. But I do want to say all this looks a lot different based off personnel.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And honestly, that's what frustrates me is like the personnel thing. And just like you were saying, but us playing so many guys, that doesn't benefit them because it doesn't allow them to get into the flow. One thing I will say, I haven't thought about this. I think Zaire would have done well in this system just because it is more flow, but never would I ever go back there. I don't think he's that good of a player. I think he's playing well right now, and I think it's short term. He's also playing for a contract, so it happens.
Zaire could end up being an NBA player. It was never going to happen here. Same as Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan was never going to end up working out here once it got to the point it got to.
Right.
Once it got to the point it got to Zaire, like that ship sailed. It was never going to happen.
Yeah. Cheers. System. All right. So let's talk about the offense real quick, because I want to get to that. I know we have much more, but the offense, to me, like I alluded to just a few minutes ago, their pace is they get up into transition and it creates the flow of the game, which the Grizzlies are. I think they're second in pace, but they're like 14th in 3-point attempts just overall. To which the Grizzlies tonight, 8 of 27 from 3, 15 of 41 from 3 for the Nets. Right, so they've shot more than we did. We're not a good shooting team right now. I think that's understood. But the offense, I want to ask you. What is the offense to you?
Run around, pass, and eventually it's going to end up in someone's hands, and then they're probably going into ISO at that point. Like the point of the offense is to cut and pass to create movement that creates confusion and gets you an open shot, right? Confuses the defense, gets guys moving. All these cuts are eventually going to open up a shot for someone. That's not what it's doing, because no one has to respect Jake LaRavia at the 3-point line. Even a guy like Wells, who's a good 3-point shooter, nobody respects him at the 3-point line yet.
I agree.
So it's like, so that's the point, is they don't have to do it. So instead, what ends up happening is the ball gets into Jaren or Ja's hands or Dez's hands at the buzzer, or God forbid, Marcus Smart's hands at the buzzer. And then they go ISO and then maybe try and get a bucket. Like, it works if you're in transition. That's the only time it works right now.
100%. And real quick, I want to stop for 1 second. Wayno, love Wayno. He's up in the mornings. Shout out to Luke and the $2 Sports Show that are always on there. I'm on there Friday morning, this Friday. But Wayno is a OG for life. Will never buy a drink in this town whenever he comes over here one day. Not feeling well, so get better, Wayno. But going back to that, just talking about the offense, like, one, I don't think it's much different than last year. I really think it's a lot of the same. I think there's more flow to it, but really the only difference, in my opinion, just after looking at it last year, looking at it this year, it's honestly just pace, which I like. I always scream that when Ja plays with pace, this team is the best, because it allows the team to get up and down the floor, fly around. They play their best selves. But what's the key thing with this offense that I've seen? The number one thing you have to have is you have to have somebody who can beat somebody off the dribble, because that's really what it comes down to. And that's what, if you look at Houston made the Grizzlies play one-on-one basketball. They made them play one-on-one basketball. So you had to try to get by your man. Well, tonight, if you look at Brooklyn never helped. The Grizzlies overhelped. The Grizzlies always overhelp. Brooklyn never helps. Houston never helps. And they put the Grizzlies in absolute hell tonight on the offensive end. And that's what it came down to.
Well, let's talk about the other part of that, which we have 0 one-on-one defenders right now outside of Jaren.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Well, just like Drew's saying, like, is there a way to generate pace without defense? Like, no, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you're always getting the ball out of the hoop, then honestly, you're always going to be stagnant. But I know Taylor Jenkins had talked about, I think it was this week, even if the ball goes in, we need to get it quick and go, because they're going to make it, but it allows you to keep your pace. The Grizzlies, dude, they can't stop anybody right now.
Well, also quit leaving your guy. It's the same thing that happened against the Bulls. It's like, I understand, hey, we don't want to give up easy twos. But if the other option's giving Zach LaVine a wide open 3, then maybe give up the easy 2.
Yeah.
Right? And also have some pride in one-on-one defense. No one is attacking defense right now. It's all reactionary. It's all, we're going to switch everything. We're going to switch everything. Nobody knows each other. So they're constantly having to talk and see if the guy actually took the guy they're supposed to take. So again, that's a personnel issue. But beside the point, no one's attacking the point of defense right now. There's no pride in defense. Except for in like short little bursts. They're short little bursts, but they don't do it for a full game.
Yeah.
It's when you need guys like Dylan.
It's
what
need
Marcus
a ball
Smart's
stop.
supposed to do, but like Marcus, we already belabored this point. He didn't come in the right shape to be able to do that, and now he's out for however long.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I believe it might have been, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. I saved it. How did Bane get hurt? So he hurt his oblique.
They ran around too much.
I don't remember seeing it happen. Now, an oblique, honestly, if anybody knows what oblique, it's here, right here, obliques. Okay, they hurt. I have actually hurt one of mine one time, and it it just makes you feel like you're crumbling because it's like you can't really move your arm too much. It hurts like kind of like the ribs. So it definitely hurts. You don't look like you're hurting, but my God, you internally are hurting. So I feel for him. I don't know what's going to happen, but LOL, nope. Jones says, wait, who all got hurt? That would be Smart rolled his ankle, which it looked bad. It didn't completely like ankle bone hit the court roll bad. It was a bad roll, but I just don't. I think he will be okay. Who knows about rolled ankles, but they'll probably keep him out in about 2 or 3 months. Who knows? But let's get let's go a little bit more into that in general. What we were talking about, just the rotations. I'm curious if they tighten up. I don't think they will, just from that point. And then you talk about the offense. The offense is dribble drive. There should be back cuts, but the problem is there's been no flow, and so I'm curious what happens. And let me just come out. People want to talk bad about, let's say the head coach Taylor Jenkins and whatever, and I get it. It's kind of a lazy take to say, "Hey, Taylor Jenkins isn't good. He's not looking good right now." But then you look at the assistant coach's offense that he brought in. I know it's going to be a struggle. I don't see a different offense. All I see is pace, and so I question that too. Like, where is that? Where's the creativeness that's coming from there? Because if you don't have the ball in Jaren or Bane's hand, and you don't, and this offense doesn't allow them to be on the court for 30 minutes, then this isn't the offense that I want. This isn't, if you can't get your guys that are paying 30, 40, $50 million to the ball in their hands to win you games, to have them on the court for 30, 35 minutes a night, then that's not the offense you need. But all in all, I think there's got to be a lot of answers that are going to be for the many questions revolving around what's going on with the offense.
Well, the only difference I see with the offense is that the ball doesn't get into, let's say, Ja's hands until half the shot clock's gone, and then we decide to figure out who's going to come set a high screen and get into our action. Next thing you know, there's 7 seconds on the clock.
Yeah,
like that. Like, you can have everybody else running around, pop, and then set the high screen, but this offense isn't doing jack compared to what happens when you set a high screen for Ja, let him get in the paint, and then stuff open up. So if that's the point, it's just it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess. But we'll get to the Jenkins stuff in a minute.
Yeah, let's go to Edey now, if that's all right with you.
God. Dude, I mean, I know he's a rookie and he's 5 games in, and the whole draft class looks terrible so far.
Yeah.
Bro, he looks awful. He's smoking layups from a foot away. Do you think he has the yips? Dead ass. Do you think he has the yips?
I wouldn't say that. I think that he is like the NBA game is so much more physical and faster than the college game. And these dudes, they're like, the guys he's playing against has a little bit, my favorite word, more girth to them. And so they have a little bit more size.
Your favorite word.
But also he looks like he is like, they're obviously longer too. And so they have the ability to play up into him more, which is creating, like, he can't just manhandle them as much as he could in the college, right? He's having to actually do moves, and he's having to learn how to do moves, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, my issue is not that he's not a good player. I think he's fine. I think he's being cast into the worst possible team for him. And that's what I said day one. This team wants to play with pace and space. And unfortunately, he clogs a lot of the lane that Ja wants to get to. And I know he's catching a lot of these lobs. That's great. But he's not an exceptional rebounder. He's never been an amazing rebounder. And he obviously clogs a lot of the lane. And he is just on skates out there if you have anybody with any kind of moves. He showed that against Vucci Main and then tonight against Ben Simmons.
Well, it's just, I mean, and it's no secret. You and I were never big Edie guys.
Right.
Like it's, we're all in now, right? Because he's a Grizzly and he's, and I don't think he's going to be it's 5 games into his rookie season. I think the book is far from written on Zach Edey, right? Like, I'm not trying to say I'm out completely on Zach Edey, but dude, it is everything right now, right? It is he can't defend even in the paint. He's getting bullied and guys are just shoulder. I got my space. I get my shot off. It's not rebounding. It's I can't make the buckets when he's got good position. Mm-hmm. It's just everything right now, which part of that, and the reason I don't want to beat up on him a bunch is, he's a rookie. Trying to figure out, he knows he's not playing well right now, 100%. Right? Like and so he can do that, right? Like he's missing a bunch of shots that I saw him make in college, right? So some of that is just a little bit of getting sped up, but man, it's brutal, and it's. I know what's on Grizz fans' minds that weren't big on Edey, which is it's hard to swallow when you had guys like, and I always said Daron Holmes, who clearly isn't playing this season, and Kello Ware sitting there, who are athletes who fit more of what you thought you're going to do. Now, to be clear, and obviously Holmes isn't playing, but Ware's not getting a bunch of minutes for Miami either, right? There's no telling if those guys would have been any good, but it's rough right now. And you don't have the horses to make up for it at this point, which is why I've said since the offseason, I'd be amazed if the Grizzlies don't call someone like New York at some point. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But
I think you're going to have to make some decisions. Yeah, for sure. All right. So let me dress up the Edey stuff real quick. So, obviously, I think it's understood that a lot of people were very much, I think Edey is a guy, I hate using this, very polarizing, like a Tim Tebow, right? People loved him or hated him. I really think that he was polarizing to that side. And if you rode for him, you rode just like Edey. I think there's a lot of Edey truthers that if you ride for Edey, like you are just like on the bandwagon. But I will say that on a positive note for Edey, just looking at him in general, I've already said he's being cast into a team or a type of offense that doesn't fit his skills, which is fine. I think what needs to happen with them, and I know in the very beginning that, if we're being honest, they said that, hey, we're going to play Edey and we're going to use our style of play. We're going to use our guys and we're going to make them make changes. Well, can I just make a suggestion? I don't think Edey has to start every game, no matter what. I don't think he's earned that right. He hasn't played well enough to really earn that right just in general. But I will say that what they could do is you could run if it is a smaller lineup, maybe he sits for that night. What if the Grizzlies would have ran a BC start and a Huff off the bench? I think that would have been better, and maybe Edey didn't play, even though his numbers look good. But I think they're a little. I think your stats sometimes can lie. But let's say they don't go with all three of those because it's a smaller lineup, and then the next night, hey, like BC played and he doesn't have it, and they put Huff in because Edey started. Or maybe it's an Edey and BC lineup night. I think they can mismatch as much as they want because they have Huff who can do both, but he is atrocious on the defensive end when it's a perimeter, when he's having to play this style of a defense, which everybody looks terrible. I'm curious if that could be, because I don't think he has to play every night. I don't think he has to start every night. And so I think they could figure out, they could mix and match him and see if that might work.
I think you could bring him off the bench. I have no issue with that. Just starters, right? I think your best lineup is Ja, Dez, BC, Jaren, +1. Right? I think that's your best lineup regardless. If you wanted to start with that, I wouldn't hate it at all.
Right.
You got to keep playing him to get him into the speed. You can't just decide, hey, we're not going to play him. That it could be like for a rest thing, obviously, but you can't just decide, hey, we're not going to play him tonight because the matchup isn't great. Like at some point, you got to keep giving him minutes and get him to learn how to dominate. When if you want to dictate the style of the game, like they said they do, you got to do it.
Yeah,
and so you got to give it a shot. Now, I keep seeing. I want to point this out because I think it plays into what's going on with him because everything stands out so much right now.
Right. Well, he's huge.
And well, not just him. I'm saying everything with the team stands out so
Yeah.
much right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, God, miss X, miss Dylan, miss Zaire. Right. And it's like, dude, we miss everybody right now because we have 3 major contributors not playing.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't move off of Zaire Williams to play Jake LaRavia.
Right.
We moved off of Zaire Williams to play Vince Williams and Gigi Jackson. Right? Like, it's not like we're supposed to be playing a bunch of Jalen Wells right now. Luke Kennard should be getting those threes. It's like, you got to keep that part in perspective.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's just one thing you just have to keep in perspective with all this is, I mean, the team may never be healthy. I'm convinced someone just pissed God off so bad, or someone in New Orleans, like Zion got so mad with all the jokes that we made that now he's got a voodoo doll. Everybody on the team just pokes one at a time or something.
Stabbing us.
Like, first off, that Desmond Bain, like the oblique injury stuff you were talking about a little bit, dude. Obliques are no joke, and
Dude,
when
they
you
suck.
and when it hurts, it's not like like I got a little bit of leg soreness. It's like, no, dude, you're not. If that thing's not right, you're not playing. And he didn't look like he was super beat up on the floor, but obliques are one of those things where you can stand up straight and it doesn't
look
hurt.
normal.
As soon as you move, like I've injured everything you can injure on the human body, so I know this much more intimately than I wish I would. Shout out to Kyle Southall, trainer in college. Me and him were way tighter than we would like to be.
And it's a baseball injury. A lot of people don't, just because
that's why I know obliques really well.
We both played baseball, so yeah.
It's no joke. So that Desmond Bain injury, Grizzlies PR thing, is either going to be a massive relief or just a massive bummer.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, the team that's on the floor is not the team the Grizzlies were expecting to be on the floor to start the season. And that does matter. But we got to bring it around to all this, which is something that's been going around Grizz Twitter. We talked about it on the show last time. And that is, regardless of all of this, the players are lame tonight. Guys aren't playing well. Things look bad. There's no energy. Dude, the buck stops with TJ.
Yeah.
The buck stops with TJ. And, the guys left to defend him. Maybe what you need to do to get this team going is tell them, hey, you're going to get TJ fired if you don't get some juice and figure it out. Because that's what's going to happen if this kind of energy can't happen on back-to-back games against teams like the Bulls and the Nets.
Not after a big, like, quote unquote, like, very intense practice. Like,
well, dog, and a collapse. A terrible collapse at home to a team that you're up by 20 against and are way better than. Against a team that's worse than that team. The Nets are worse than the Bulls. And Dennis Schroeder looked like he was all world tonight.
Yeah.
Like, the bag fumbler himself.
All right. 1 second. I want to read. So I think it's Gary. It's got to be Gary, right? Got to be Gary. So players aren't simply good enough. Prognosticators that had them in the bottom half are right. No, and I know, and so everybody, I don't know if everybody's aware of this. I've been reading his comments all night. Big Edie guy, okay, new to Grizzlies basketball, and so he doesn't understand a lot of, I guess the former stuff. But I don't think it's that. I think the Grizzlies are good. The Grizzlies have a brand new offense. They still have a lot of injuries. They honestly have 6 games in 9 nights. It's all tough. You have a lot up against you. Just in general, I don't think looking so far in the future and saying, hey, they just aren't that good and they're in the bottom half of the league, I don't think that's right. I do believe that in general, they're off to a bad start. They have a lot of stuff that's going wrong right now. They have a lot of questions that need to be answered. I don't think you can look and say, hey, I think this team isn't that good. There's something going on with Ja. They're trying to fit in Edie, who is, whatever you want to say, dude is 7'4", a little slower than the average NBA player, dominates if you throw it and can get it into him at the post. He's not finishing right now like he should be. His defense doesn't look great. Then you have Bain, who's looked great, but he's now injured. Smart, who's been good defensively, but can't shoot right now. Now he's injured. Jaren was injured. Now he's back and on a minutes restriction. There's a lot of stuff going around. I don't think it's that. I think that they have a lot of questions. But then you get to the lineups, and then you have are you making it harder on yourself? That's my question. And that's the question I run to That's the TJ thing, right? Are you trying to outthink it, trying to figure it out, and you making it harder on yourself? Or do you simplify it now and say, hey, figure it out? All right, let's see. First thing I've ever seen this, by the way. Thank you. Edie ain't it. Time to cut bait was smart. First of all, you pay, you can do it and you say whatever you want. So thank you. But your thoughts on that? Obviously, we talked about Edie.
Yeah, I mean,
thoughts on smart.
Edie, it's too early. It's too early. It looks like all the haters would say, which you and me weren't truthers to start out with, but it's too early to say that. Dude, Smart, I mean, I have been a big Smart guy because I think
not you.
I think being like a leader and being like a winner, having come somewhere who knows how to win matters, especially a vet.
Yeah.
But I mean, what you were talking about the last show, which is like, dude, a leader and a vet doesn't show up this unready to play. Right. And he's been defending well. He has been defending really well, but you can see like that he's just not in basketball shape. Right. Which, listen, someone who also recently had a kid, I get I get slacking on the workouts, right? But it is, part of the job, right? Get into shape. But listen, at this point, I mean, plus he's got a turned ankle. I would not stop shopping him. I'll look at shopping him around too.
All right. Well, Titan MVP, brother, if you pay, 100% will always answer questions or talk through it.
I got to bring up one. First off, G Wiz just gets me. I love it. That's a great name.
And 911.
Yeah, but the Nets are better than we think. They beat the Bucks and almost beat the Nuggets. I would counter you with the Bucks and Nuggets are worse than we think. I don't think either one of those teams is very good. I've said on the last show.
Could I counter you? I'm going to counter you with a counter. I think this will be the most. I don't want to use certain words. We'll just say crazy NBA seasons we've ever seen. I think the league is in the best spot it's ever been in. Okay, ever's probably terrible. In a long time. I think the league is in a great place because I don't think the Brooklyn Nets are that bad. I really don't. I think they're fine. I think they have a offensive style that can keep them in games.
Yeah, they got offensive talent.
Correct. Okay, so that's going to keep you in games. If you look around the league, the superstars are aging, and this is a long season, but I think this is one of the best seasons I think we're going to have. There's no bad team. I don't know. I don't think there's a really bad team. I really don't.
We'll see. But
who would you say was the worst team, just off the top of your head?
I think the Wizards are pretty bad.
Okay. I'm sorry. The Wizards are. The Wizards do suck. Right, besides the Wizards, I don't think that bad.
I will say this, like bringing it full circle from about 2 years ago. How's my I don't like the Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard trade looking right now?
Yeah.
No.
We'll get into that. Ryan has the look ahead. How far are we into this show? Because I'm not even
40 minutes.
We're 40 minutes into the show.
Yeah, I'm not done complaining.
I know. Let's do something real quick. Let's go ahead and take a pause. We're not going to take commercials. We're going to skip commercials for a while. I don't see the reason to need a commercial unless you need to have a commercial. Go ahead and take a pee break. I think we can go ahead and get into what we call around here as Grizz trivia. All right. Let me double check my notes real quick before I get too far into it.
To be clear, there's a lot of parody, but I thought Sane put this in there, and I agree completely. Like,
Parody's a good word.
Boston beats the parody part of that.
Yeah, parody is a good word. But our guy Scottie Pippen Jr. had 4 assists tonight. But over the last 2 games prior, in back-to-back consecutive games, he had a double-double with points and assists. So he has recorded the first 2 double-doubles of his NBA career in the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Pippen is one of 2 Grizzlies in franchise history. So if you should have seen this, to have consecutive points, assists, double doubles off of the bench. Who is the other guy in the franchise?
Zebo.
Off the bench.
Well, he was coming off the bench that one season. That's why I assumed it was him.
Look at King Meeks is over here just in which way? King Meeks went to the game tonight. I hope he had fun. Actually, I know you didn't have fun.
Oh, dang it. I saw the chat.
Yep, Mr.
Brevin Knight.
Yep, it was Brevin Knight. How do you say this name? Prestique, right? Mr. Prestique.
Did they say this on the broadcast?
I believe they did. I
got League Pass, which is brutal.
Oh, that's why you're.
I didn't get to see it.
Kip Gordon got it. Brevin Knight. I saw that next to each other. The photos next to each other, and so that's what it was. And so
also League Pass still unfathomably terrible. I don't understand it. I have it on every device I have, and none of them work correctly.
Yeah.
Adam
Silver. So first of all right. So Gary has been absolutely just bitter Gary tonight, but we love you. I will show love to everybody. I'll stand against you too, though. So Gary, if we don't like something you say, we'll talk to you.
Look at
Alan.
Me and Alan had some back and forth in the past.
But I want you to speak your mind. I'd rather you be honest and speak your mind and let us figure it out. We'll go back and forth by all means. But I think we have a good time on this show. So thank you for allowing us to entertain you. But tonight has been an ugly night so far, but I'm not going to allow myself to be pissed off just in general. And so I'm going to allow myself to be as positive. But I think we need to think through a lot of what's happened because there's a lot of questions that are going to be that need to be answered. And so we're going to get through a lot more. But I know you have. Good. So let's go ahead. Any other? What's the next topic or anything you want to hit on?
I'm not mad. I'm just sad.
I'm just off with reason. I love that. LOL. Nope. Jones.
Mr. Limited.
Hey, speaking of that, I had I was doing the betting show, Driving the Line, a little shameless plug. Check us out. I'll be on in the morning, 9 a.m. Central on YouTube. You can also catch us on the Stadium Media Network, which is on free TV. If you just have a Samsung, I know it's on there, DirecTV, Amazon Prime, whatever. If you have the Stadium channel, it's on a lot of different cables. We're on that 9 a.m. in the morning. Go ahead and check us out. We'll have some plays up. But I had actually I had a Russell Wilson play for whatever. I think it was Monday night. I guess they played. Whatever it was, they played. And I had a play, and I was like, Mr. Unlimited is going to go for whatever the play was. It was funny. So
a little limited.
Yep.
A little bit limited.
Very.
I do want to bring this up too because I've mentioned this on the last show. Ramsey Surreal. It's so much of this. I think the angst, the teenage angst, which I love me some yellow card. I'm here for it. But the angst comes from last season was so brutal that we were so looking forward to this team coming out and being fun again and lighting it on fire and just, lighting it up. And then immediately guys are hurt. Jaren's out. Vince is out. Gigi's out. Luke has foot soreness. I still don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Now Bane's out and Smart's out. And it's just like, dude, when are we going to catch a break? Right. And so I think a lot of the frustration does stem from last year being so
100%
unbearable and suffering through that.
It's expectations too, because you want to have a good season. Plus, Sane was asking, did Goon already talk about Jaren?
Yes.
Goon came out hot. This is not even his worst one. He just said he's 1-1 without Jaren. Now we're 1-2 with Jaren. That's not his worst one. This is the most recent one I could find. So I just wanted to show that. But it's a carryover from, it's like PTSD. Like you see it and everybody's like, honestly, they see what's happening. You're just like, F this. Like, how do we change it? And so everybody's like jumping to try to figure out how to change it. And that's why I wanted to discuss it tonight. Obviously, like the coaching has not been any good. Like there's more questions than answers. And it just seems like it's compiling itself after every game. And I know I would assume they're trying to find an answer. And so they're trying different things, seeing what sticks to the wall. I think what they're doing is making it harder on themselves, like we said earlier. You simplify it, and then you can expound upon what is working. I think they're going the opposite way. I think they're trying to open more doors up for more guys to get playing time and seeing what guys, facilitate and play well. And it's actually like, I think it's working in reverse. And so at this point, I'm curious if they don't simplify it and get back to the basics. Cause I don't, in my opinion, I don't know if Conchar plays tonight, if Smart doesn't get hurt, but if he was planning on playing, that was an issue in itself. But I don't know. I'm curious how this keeps going, but I don't know. I haven't seen any of the press conference. I haven't seen what TJ said, but all in all, I think that tonight might be a breaking point. I'm curious if we see somebody get pissed off, and I see a little bit more emotion, because we saw that in the third quarter. The end of the third quarter, I think we saw a lot of emotion come from Ja.
Well, and that's like, man, you gotta want it. And it didn't seem. And listen, I think same things I thought last time. With Ja specifically, I think he is trying to get this team to a place where everybody gets in the groove.
Yeah.
Like, same thing. If people are like, man, Ja just isn't trying to kill him. That's not what it is with Ja. Ja is trying to get everybody else going, because he can't do it on his own, right? You saw the burst he had in the third quarter, but after that, he's exhausted and he can't do it all, right? And so,
why do you think that is?
Think what is?
Why do you think he's so exhausted?
Because, dude, he's going full speed, 100 miles an hour. For a minute, he's putting the team on his back.
Okay.
And just saying, we're going to go. And he's sprinting up and down the court.
Right.
And he's exploding to the basket. And he's trying, like, that's part of it. And listen, when he got his quad hit, like, that's bothering him, right? I'm not saying it's a massive injury or something that should keep him out, but that's bothering him too. So he's playing through that a little bit. But same thing, you can only go so fast for so long before you get exhausted.
Yeah. So is that, do you contribute that to, on the coaching side of things, the new flavor of the offense? We'll combine offense and pace together, if you'd like to do that.
Maybe with some guys, but no. The Ja thing is, he's going 100 miles an hour, and you can only go 100 miles an hour for so long before you're tired.
Okay.
Like, when we saw Ja go all out in the third quarter tonight, like, I didn't sit there and think, oh man, like, he's out of shape or something like that. No, when he was exhausted, I was like, yeah, this dude just clawed back from a 14-point deficit pretty much single-handedly. Like, 100%. Even the buckets other guys got were because Ja was just putting everybody on their heels.
Yeah.
Right. So he's trying to get guys into a groove, right? Like, so that's not. But everybody else, like, nobody's in attack mode.
Mm-mm.
Jaren's in attack mode when he's out there. Mm-hmm. Ja's in attack mode when he's out there. Dez is hurt now, but I think Dez tries to get in attack mode when he's out there.
100%.
You don't get that from anybody else.
I
saw a little bit more from Brandon tonight, which is why he looked the best he's looked.
With who?
Brandon.
Okay. Yeah. By far the best game we've seen out of Brandon. And I think it's helping him, because if you think about it, Bane was playing, which he was off, all of last year, but Bane was playing with a lot of guys that he's not used to. When he's coming in those second units, and honestly, I know the normal thing is to say second unit, the second-ish unit, because there's like 7 in that second unit. Like, who is he playing with? There's no consistency to build a flow, and so that could be hurting his, I guess, growth to get back into the flow.
Well, that's part of it. Ja looks up and he's like, "Who's this?
Yeah, who's this white boy?
Who's this guy I'm passing it to?" But they're trying to get out there, and it's like, and you don't have anybody else on the attack.
Yeah,
because these are guys. A lot of them are just getting their shot at the league, like, not just like, hey, I'm getting my shot to be on this rotation. Like, this is like, Jay Huff has been on two ways forever, and he's now getting his shot.
Yeah.
Jake LaRavia has been on this team forever. He's been getting minutes, but it's like, same thing. We talk about Jake, like, he can be in the NBA, but he's really an end of the bench guy.
What's your thoughts on Jake?
I'm not done with yet. Wells is getting his first time into the NBA. Pippen is like got his contract, but is like still clearly trying to figure things out. Like you're missing a guy who is too young to know better, so he's always on the attack in Gigi. You're missing a guy who is not really known for being an attacker, but see him get a little piss under him with Luke. And then you're missing your absolute loony bin psychopath and Vince Williams.
Yeah.
And you need those guys. You need guys who are going to be attacking out there. Because, I mean, especially now with Smart and Bane down, it is just Ja and Jaren, and hopefully we get more of this Brandon. But, like, you just don't have any other guys who are ready to attack the game. And so, a lot of these guys, it's not necessarily to their fault, right? That some of them just aren't ready yet. But listen, that's what happens when you're this young and you get hurt.
100%. And that honestly is. All right, this is a quote that just came out from Ja. Every time I play a game and I sit the next, people say, "Oh, you soft," or "You ain't this," or "Ain't this." And then y'all got guys sitting out for longer than you want them to, and it's just like, "Oh, he should have sat out." You guys, God, sorry, I gotta expand it. You guys out here battling, and that's what you get for it. Y'all want me to play every game? All right, see you tomorrow.
Somebody calling him soft? I know he was getting into it on Twitter, but I don't see anybody calling Ja soft.
All right.
I'm not really super on Twitter, so I don't know.
Look at old Be Nice coming in. All right, so Be Nice. That was down 2 centers and Simmons playing the 5. GP should have been post up. GP?
Game plan.
Oh, yep, there you go. Listen, I'm old. Against JJ and Edie inside out. Taylor should have preached that beyond asinine. All right, so let's listen. That is one. That's next level thinking. I like the thought process because it's not like, hey, Taylor Jenkins sucks.
Well,
I love this. Like, I know you're saying it, but Be Nice is saying it while saying, hey, this is why. I'm intellectual conversation. I love this. So, all right. So they're down 2 centers because obviously Claxton was out and Simmons was playing the 5. So your game plan now, post up JJ, go back to Edie, an inside out kind of thing. And so that, yes or no, that should have been the game plan.
Yes.
Okay.
The answer is yes.
Go back to that. All right. So that's on the offensive end. Let's go to the defensive end. We saw what happened to Edie. How do you adjust and go against that then?
That was my asterisk is
Okay.
Edie. Actually, he said it last game, thought he looked good. Don't understand why he didn't play the second half. This game is like, dude, he's getting played off the court. He's getting post ups, but he's not converting. And then on defense, he's a liability right now.
Yeah, Be Nice. I want to rebuttal to this from you on the defensive side. Don't pay the money. I just wanted you to share a comment, unless you just want to, but share a comment on. I want to see how is your thinking of adjusting on the defensive end? My thinking is on Edie here. I would switch completely, and I would bring him off the bench and run him, Jaren and Edie separate from each other, and then I would go small internally with a Santi playing the 4 or a BC playing the 4, and then you could switch Huff if you needed to, whether it's for Edie late if you don't feel like Edie can guard defensively. But I would go a little bit smaller. You can still use Edie, but maybe you sit Huff. That's how I would attack it. I would split Jaren and Edie, in my opinion. That allows you to go a little bit smaller, but still being big. So I love that. That's the higher level thing. And not that this is like, hey, I'm smart, I'm higher level thinking. I like thinking through it.
You of that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will. But Brian, facts, dude, I love it. I think it was a very intelligent. All right, so let's go to what else you had, because I asked about Jake, but you cut me off and said no.
No, it keeps coming to stuff like this though, and it's what we keep talking about, like trends, right?
Yeah.
Like a trend is Jaren's cooking and then he disappears, right? They don't give him the ball anymore. And it's not, he gets position and they still don't give him the ball. Like, that's another thing that, when you and me are not Jenkins haters, but it comes back to like, somebody's got to tell the guys to get him the ball.
The buck stops with him,
The
like
buck
100%.
stops with them, right? And
100%.
hopefully tomorrow night the Bucks stop with him. It's the Grizzlies turning around and get a win. Sorry, I'm not ready to be done, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. It presented itself. No, get me off of this. You know I hate that crap. We can talk about Jake.
All right, let's before real quick. Memphis made 901 says any update on Luke and Vince. No. So Luke is now ramping up. He's in the ramp up process. Okay. Everybody's in the ramp up process. Yeah. So the ramp up process is where Luke is. So he was doing individuals. Now he's practicing in general, from what I heard. And so at this point, I think we're close to a week out. I think he's going to ramp up to 5-on-5. I think he's 3-on-3, maybe 4-on-4, ramp up to 5-on-5, and then he can get back then to a minutes restriction. Then he gets to play. Then he might not have a minutes restriction. Anyway, let's go to Jake. Your thoughts on Jake? I'm just making fun of it. What's your thoughts on Jake? I thought he's played well.
My wife just got into one of the best residencies into the country. So, chat, let's hype up my wife. Got into one of the best dental school residencies in the country. She's trying to work with adults with special needs. It's like one of the best residencies possible to do that. So let's get a little round of applause for her, because she's incredible and awesome in every way and going to be my sugar mama one day. So
question.
That's what we're going for.
Do we know your son's name? Can we say his name on the show?
Yeah, Theodore Ashworth Qualls, first of his name.
I was going to say Theo's mom. Congrats to Theo's mom. That's what you'll be known as forever, or Theodore's mom. So shout out to the family.
Sorry. Literally just got the news and had to. She's being very nice and quiet, so I had to give a little hype.
Let her scream. Yeah, that's some fun.
All right, now let's talk about Jake. Honestly, so we talked about it last game. You know, everyone was hating on Jake getting 31 minutes. And listen, a world where Jake LaRavia is playing 31 minutes for your basketball team is a problematic world. You and me were both kind of like, yeah, but he was far from the reason they lost. Like, he didn't look bad, especially in comparison. Right. Like, I didn't think he looked bad in general, but especially in comparison to other guys that were playing. First half tonight, I thought Jake was one of two guys who I thought showed up. I was like telling Sarah, I was like, Jaren and Jake showed up in the first half. Yeah. Now, as the game went on, that changed significantly, right? That was not what it looked like once you got late in the first half and into the second half. But I'm not.
Listen, Air, we're just talking about Jake LaRavia. Don't crash out on us.
Yeah, listen, Linda, listen. It's gonna be okay.
Yep.
Listen, it's basketball. This team is gonna be fun again. All right, but they're clearly not having fun right now, especially after I hear that comment from Ja, which I'm curious. I'm like, I don't know who's calling him soft, but it's got to be some rando on Twitter. I don't know why that is something he's seen so early, and I'll just shut it off.
Can we go back dark again?
Yeah, go back dark again.
Yeah, go back dark.
But Jake specifically, like, my history with Jake LaRavia on the Grizzlies is well known. Right, I'm not the biggest Jake fan in the world.
All right, so let's do this. I know you're still talking about Jake. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about him. Let's talk about what you would do next game, because we're not going to get there yet, but I want to see if Jake included in your lineup.
I don't know. I got to wait on Grizzlies PR. I don't know what I'll do next game.
That's true.
I might have to call up freaking Gilliard again. Who's Gilliard play for now? He might have to come up to the lineup again.
I think he's overseas.
I genuinely don't know. I don't know who's going to play next game again.
Yeah.
That's miserable, dude.
Let's go to next game. You want to go and head to next game real quick? We do have unless you know what? Final thoughts.
Put a bow on it.
Final thoughts. You put a bow on this game. Any other thoughts?
Well, bow on Jake. I don't love watching Jake LaRavia play basketball. He has been fine this year.
He's been fine. Correct. Fine.
He's been fine.
Playable, which is all you can ask for right now. Like, playable.
Like he's looked a lot better than guys who we need to be key contributors on given nights, right? Like, and this has come from a guy who, I say this all the time, I literally used to turn the TV off when you get in the game. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, and if I can say he's playing fine, he's playing fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is he has to play for you.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Bo on the game, dude, you got to come out and you got to come out with juice. They just didn't come out with juice tonight.
We've already used no juice for one of the
and it's, again, that's what's shocking. That's shocking
Right.
that 5 games into the season, after you had a collapse at home, you come out with no juice again. On rest, right? It's not a back-to-back. You just come out with no juice. And again, it can't just be Ja and Jaren. Right? And if Bane's down and Smart's down, that means somebody else has got to step up and bring it. And right now, it's like, I don't know who that is.
They're both out tomorrow. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, they're both sitting tomorrow for sure. I think both those injuries are going to end up being injuries, unless the oblique thing was like he's cramping. But when I hear oblique injury, that stresses me out. To be honest.
Let's put a bow on. Let me tie the other side of the bow real quick because God, is it Gary? It gotta be Gary. Please just let us know. Like, spell it out, like Gary, whatever. So he had a response to what B Nice said earlier: is you make them pay on offense and force them to play bigger, which I don't think you can force them because they literally didn't have any more size. Like, they were playing as big as they could. Because it's not that like the Grizzlies stopped them when Edey was down the floor. So what he's saying is you literally give your best offense on there and just hope it does better in general than it really hurts you on the defensive end. Makes sense. I don't know if Edey made that big of a difference on the offensive end because I think they were scoring enough. I just don't think they were getting enough stops from, they were trading 2s for 3s, which was their biggest thing. But we'll see. But in the end, Lightning DJ says it best. Grizzlies need more juice than activator.
I don't know what that means. I'll be honest, I don't know what it means.
He doesn't have his black card. I got my black card a long time ago. I feel good. I got invited. King Meeks invited me to the cookout. But let's go ahead and hit the look ahead and the look around. We're going to go ahead and look ahead at the next game with Ryan as he sets us up for the Bucks tomorrow night.
Let's look ahead to Thursday's night matchup for the Grizzlies against the Milwaukee Bucks. A little bit of a rest disadvantage for the Memphis Grizzlies. They are off a back-to-back against the Brooklyn Nets playing tonight. Does it really matter with the minutes being so low for our top guys for Grizzlies? Probably not. Usually back-to-backs would be, expect a worse performance in the second game of a back-to-back. But there's a clear advantage for the Bucks here, even with the minute restriction so low for the Grizzlies players. The Milwaukee Bucks have not played since Monday. And yeah, I know they started the season 1-3, but that is a clear rest advantage for Thursday. So I don't know how much that will come into fold here because the Milwaukee Bucks have had a couple days to practice what they have been really bad at, and that is team defense. This is a team that is trying to find their defensive identity right now. Nobody on the perimeter can guard anybody, it seems to be. Opponents' effective field goal percentage. The Milwaukee Bucks right now are bottom 10 in the league. Teams are averaging 53.9% effective field goal percentage shooting against the Milwaukee Bucks so far this year. And fun fact, that percentage is actually tied with the Grizzlies as well. Their defensive rating, they're bottom 6 in the league, 116.4 rating. In comparison, the Grizzlies are bottom 8, 115.9. So kind of like the Grizzlies that we've seen, they've had some problems on the perimeter defending and staying in front of people and fouling. The Milwaukee Bucks are going through the same kind of thing right now. So don't expect a lot of defense. The only thing that might happen is if the Grizzlies do have to play a lot of big minutes to top guys against the Nets tonight for some reason, maybe the shots aren't falling. But I expect them to be open for the Grizzlies. Let's just hope that they can knock them down and put away this kind of stumbling Milwaukee Bucks team early.
All right. First of all, I want a question to the chat before I ask this question to you. Instead of doing just commercials to show the different shows within Bluff City Media, I'm trying to get more creative in doing videos, such as the video that Ryan does. So let me know, do you like that? Because we can make adjustments. Ryan doesn't have to do it. I think Ryan helps me because it gets me set up for the next game. And so he sends me the audio only and no video. And so I make the graphics. So let me know, do you like them? Does it help you get to know a little bit more about the team that we're going to be playing the next night? And is there anything that you'd like to see? Because we can include more stuff instead of doing different videos and different just commercials. We can just throw in different stuff that might help us. And so if you have it, as Austin's saying, he likes it. Thank you, Austin. But anybody else, if you like it, you don't love it, by all means, nobody gets their feelings hurt. That Ryan, the guy you're hearing, Ryan will be here tomorrow night. Nate has got some work stuff, so he'll be going out. But tomorrow night, the Grizzlies take on the Bucks. It's a 7:00 start. Nate, what do you think the line is on this game? And it's already out.
I would say Bucks 2.5.
Nope.
Higher. Bucks 4.5. Bucks 6.5.
5. You're close. 5.
Dang, really?
The Bucks 5. That's a little that's a little surprising. Is it because, and honestly, the reason I enjoy the look ahead now, because it helps me, because I know me and you are we're busy people just in general in life. It's hard for us to look at the game and try to pay attention to the game and on different levels and try to talk through it. And you're honestly looking at the next game ahead. So that's why Ryan not being on the show as much helped us. I didn't realize that they were off since Monday. So that helped me know a little bit more about them having that big of a rest. The Grizzlies are 6 games in 9 days and they're off for 3, whatever. But I'm curious if that's really what they come out, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but Damian Lillard is really good at shooting the 3 ball. And the point guard, the Grizzlies are the second worst in guarding the 3-point against the point guard position. Tonight, I played it all the way up into 4 3-pointers for Dennis Schroeder. He cashed. Obviously, he went to, I think, 5 or 6. If you're a betting person, go play Damian Lillard tomorrow for whatever threes he's going to have. It's probably going to be over 4.5. But I'm curious if that's a game that gets them back on track, because that's exactly what they want to do, and the Grizzlies are bad against.
I mean, yes, but the Grizzlies could also come out on fire tomorrow night.
100%.
I mean, it's already to the point where you just might not have the horses, man. Like, it's crazy to say, but like, if Bane's out too, that's tough, man. That's just tough. I mean, you're just throwing guys out there who, you have to have guys just pop off that are not supposed to pop off.
100%.
Right. And that's, I think, talent-wise, fully healthy, the Grizzlies should beat the Bucks.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
They're far from fully healthy, and it looks like reinforcements are the opposite of on the way. Speaking
of health, John from Twitter wants to know about the level of concern from Bane. We've hit on it a couple of times, but it is an oblique. The oblique it could be troublesome. It could be nothing. It could just be it's just a pinch. There's something there. If it's a real oblique, or I don't think it's a tear, he wouldn't have come out in a tear, something like that. But I think if it's a really big oblique injury, he could be out a month. I don't think it's that bad. I didn't see enough to make it warrant it being that bad. But I appreciate the question, John. But do me a favor, if you're on Twitter, just like John, come over to YouTube. Find us at Bluff City Media. And 1, subscribe to the channel, but 2, hit the like button while you're here. But also, you don't see any other comments as much on Twitter because everybody ends up flooding over to our YouTube. There's literally, the comments are coming in consistently, just like yours. And so we appreciate you, but it is concerning. I want to know a little bit more about how big it is.
Yeah. It'll either be nothing or it'll be a deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's, what else do you have? Do you have anything else? I'm excited to see Giannis, what I did on the thumbnail, which I know nobody else cares about. I made the thumbnail. I went back to the rookie year for both Jaren and Giannis, because I think that the way their bodies have changed since their rookie year. I put their rookie season
so young
photos up, and they look like babies, and you can still see the faces there. I didn't get as much of Jaren as I wanted to. Like, Jaren's a little bit into the picture with his, he's swole, whatever. But Giannis is great. His photo is top notch. I had to use it. You'll love it. So check that out tomorrow when you come in for the show. But I'm excited to see Giannis versus Jaren. That's my matchup that I'm looking forward to the most.
I would hope that we see Ja a little bit more on the attack.
Okay.
And like, more like consistently attacking the defense, consistently and methodically attacking the defense, right? Like, he went on like a real burst tonight in the third quarter. He can't keep that up for a full game. Right. I love to see him just go and take over, I mean, I don't know. Like, same thing. If the quads really bother him a ton, that might not be something he can do, especially on a back-to-back. But if he can't, then I got, I think it'll be a little bit rough. It'll be a little bit rough. I think Ja and Jaren both have to show out for that game to go the Grizzlies' way. And they have to decide that they're going to show out. So that's what I want to see. I personally don't want to see anything with the Bucks. I hope the Bucks suck. I hope Giannis sucks. I hope Dame sucks. I hope they're terrible and the Grizzlies are able to get back on track. They need to have fun again, man. They have fun in Utah. Like, when I was at that game in Utah, I was like, man, these guys are having fun playing basketball. Then they have not had fun the past game and a half. The second half against the Bulls, it has not been fun. So I want to see them have fun.
Let me ask some questions for you. Do you know the starting lineup of the Milwaukee Bucks?
No, for sure not, but I'll give it a shot. Lopez, Giannis, Dame.
Yep. All right, so stop there real quick. I'll give you a second to keep thinking. Look at that big three of theirs. Lopez, Edie, Giannis, Jaren, Dame, Ja. That matches up. Like, I'm talking about on the defense and offense. I think they match up okay together. So that means you should be able to play, Edie in that lineup, right? So those three, I think, are fine. Who's your other? Do you know the other two guys? There's zero chance you know these two.
I don't know if he starts. Does Connaughton start for them?
No.
Okay. Taurean Prince.
Taurean Prince is one of their starters.
Okay. So I got that, and I've got.
I'm shocked. I had no idea he was even with Milwaukee. No chance.
Gary Trent.
It is. It is. How do you know that?
I listened to the mismatch yesterday. I remember saying Gary Trent has to start because Middleton's out.
This is true. All right, so there are other guys.
But I did get it fair and square. I did know.
Fair and square. You did get it, so shout out to you. But Bobby Portis comes off the bench for him. Pat Connaughton comes off the bench, and then DeLon Wright is a guy, and then Andre Jackson, who a lot of people liked. Andre Jackson Jr. He was a guy that came off the bench as well. So they play 3, sometimes 4 off the bench. But really, Andre Jackson, he doesn't play a ton. So they're going to play their guys more. I'm curious if the Grizzlies switch around. We'll see. But at least I think our 3 match up with their big 3 because we don't have Bane, we don't have Smart tomorrow night. So I think those 3 match up okay. And then I think our bench is better than theirs. And honestly, I think the other people are better than them.
They got crazy-eyed Bobby Portis.
I knew you were going to go there.
Bench is automatically better with crazy-eyed Bobby there. I love crazy. He's got the LOL nope eyes going.
Those are wall eyes.
I love Bobby Portis. I would love Bobby Portis to be a Memphis Grizzly. I don't think I agree with that. They got Connaughton and Portis off the bench.
I think he's lost a step personally. I think Portis is great.
I haven't watched them much this year, but we'll see. Our bench is not great right now.
DeLon Wright could go off. He somehow always goes off.
DeLon Wright's solid, man. He's always been solid. He's never been great. He's always been solid.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Right. I mean, Jaren and Ja can carry them, but they'll have to. The Edie thing, man, he's just not ready. He's just not ready for it.
I think he matches up against Lopez, though. I really do. I think he matches up.
I don't think there's anything Lopez can do that Edie can't, other than obviously Lopez is a very good big 3-point shooter. That's about it. But I think there's things Brooke Lopez will do that Edie doesn't do yet.
Okay.
That's where I'd land on that. And Lopez can move better than Edie. Yes, Lopez can move better than Edie.
I knew you'd like that one.
Boy in
the night.
AC got to go to New York first, though.
AC Surreal always can find a way to Nathan's heart. But Last thing we'll hit on real quick is the Los Angeles Dodgers have won the World Series, beating the Yankees. Shout out to Frederick Charles Freeman. Freddie Freeman has to be the MVP of the World Series. I don't know how he wouldn't be. I don't know if he is, but I would assume he is. The dude went on a tear. I think he had four out of five, except tonight, home run in each game. So shout out to Freddie Freeman. Just went through a really bad scare with his kiddo. Almost lost his kid throughout the season. Had to take some time off. It really effed him up, honestly, in the head mentally. It had to huge toll.
Yeah, man.
So shout out to him. A good guy. We always try to celebrate the good guys. No matter what league, no matter what sport, we always try to celebrate the good guys. And Freddie Freeman is one of those good guys. But last thoughts.
I wonder if we see a little bit more of your turn, my turn with Ja and Jaren tomorrow. I think it almost has to be with Bane out and the amount of injuries that have piled up.
Question. If they play, all right, so last game, they played against the Celtics. Giannis plays 39 minutes. Lillard played 36. Gary Trent, 37. Lopez, 32.
Grizz are going to lose.
Taurean Prince, 32. How in the world do you match up? Because there's nobody else that can match up really with Giannis. Maybe Huff a little just because he has the length. Edey cannot. Giannis will go right around Edey, and I just think he will.
Yeah,
especially if he brings him out and tries to take him on the dribble drive.
Boxes and elbows, baby. Boxes and elbows. If Giannis is hitting threes, you just say, "Hey, actually, let's just only play Jake and Wells and Huff and Pippen tonight, and we'll see you guys in the next game."
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to, right? You kind of just got to say, like, "Hey, if Lopez and Giannis are just going to light us up from deep, then you know what? You guys got it. Got to keep a body on Dame, Connaughton. I'd make sure you stay stuck to Bobby Portis, but." Even by Portis, you just kind of got to decide, hey, we're going to get rebounds tonight. We're going to do that.
No doubt.
Listen, I don't know. I mean, hearing those Ja comments that you listed after the game does worry me a little bit because it's like, okay, are you actually hurt? Like, can you not play 30 minutes? Because that's a different thing than we're not playing you 30 minutes.
Well, that's the thing is,
right?
All right. So he did something I know you like. The coaching staff did something you like tonight. So he played Ja up until I think 2.5, I don't know, right on the 3-minute mark, was ending the quarter because he'd played the whole quarter. There was 40 seconds left, and they brought Ja back in to try to finish the quarter because they were able to get the ball back. So they brought Ja back in, which I know you like because you want to end the quarter strong. And he was spent, right? Because he'd played so hard lead up to that. And then they had that momentum going through the third quarter. So they brought him back early into the fourth. They probably weren't expecting to do that.
Yeah.
And then he played 2 or 3 minutes, and then they set him until the 5-minute mark to go in the game. It's tough because so it's like at that point, is it like, when do you bring him back? Like at what point does it hurt him?
That's when you're able to bring Dez back in normally, right? Like you have 13, at least 10 to 13 minutes from Dez, even if we're looking at a minutes deficiency that he gets out there. So that's tough tonight because Ja was spent. Like, he was clearly spent. So that part it's hard to get mad about that because it's like, I mean, he's gassed. What do you want him to do? As long as at least Jaren's out there, right? You got to have one of them on the floor at all times, but that makes it tough because you want to play them together. And, so I don't know how they're this injured this early into the season. It's insane. It's insane. I know people are like, hey, you can't blame the medical and the training staff. I'm like, well, this is one of those worlds where somebody gets blamed. And, like, it's just unfathomable.
Somebody
gets guys are that hurt. But yeah, we'll see, man. I hope that they get on the Theraguns tonight, get some ice therapy going, and come out ready to kill tomorrow night. And also, I do want to say, Ja missed a bunch of gimmies tonight that he does not miss. Like, he left 8 to 10 points out there that he almost never leaves out there. So, he just had a bit of a night where the bucket didn't cooperate too.
For sure, no doubt. All right, well, Grizzlies lose tonight, 119 to 106 for the Brooklyn Nets. It was a bad game overall, but the Grizzlies, they have a game tomorrow night. We'll be here. Nate will not. He's got a work trip that he has to go on, so Nate will not be here. But our guy Ryan Meadows will be here to give his live look ahead. I don't even know who they're playing after that. But tonight went by so fast. Nope. Jones says the Grizz season starts tomorrow. All that was preseason, I hope. Yep. It doesn't count. But the Grizzlies take on the Milwaukee Bucks tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central tomorrow. And so we'll be here roughly about 9:30, 9:45, depending on how the game goes. But hopefully the Grizz come out with a win. They need it. It hasn't looked good at home. So we'll see how it is against the Bucks, who are well rested. But the Grizzlies, they should be pretty pissed off, and so I'm sure they'll show up and show out tomorrow. So here's hoping we get a good game. But we'll be back. We'll see you all tomorrow night. What a great show! Thank you all for helping, just kind of with the comments, but also the huge number tonight on the show. And so trying to help everybody just kind of get through and stand back from the ledge. Don't jump just yet.
We're all good.
We'll see you all back tomorrow night. Nate, have a safe trip. Be nice and tell your friends.